we think the future communication should be two-way, and business can directly communicate with human. So we call that a human to business interface, based on the belief we have, like business will almost have life and almost have a consistent personality, or
So
AI
it's going to be like a living organism that kind of talks back to you.
And even on a higher level, it will make its own decisions without human intervention. Like we start seeing that already.
Welcome to the Better Stack podcast. In today's episode, you'll hear my conversation with Hao Sheng. Hao is the founder of Expertise AI, a startup creating new AI systems called Human Business Interfaces. His company recently raised $1.8 million in venture funding and continues to grow to redefine the way we interact with businesses. Before launching his own venture, Hao worked at Google, where he helped pioneer some of the earliest large-scale chatbot systems back when natural language models were still in their infancy. In our conversation, we'll dive deep into his journey from Google to founding Expertise AI, unpack how his company is reimagining the business-consumer interface, and look ahead to Hao's vision for the future of AI. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Hao Sheng. Hey Hao, welcome to the show. How's it going, man?
Pretty good. Hey, Andreas.
So I know that you're also a fellow Torontonian, right? You're based out of Toronto?
Yeah, I've been moved to Toronto for almost 13 years. I came here during high school and went to university and stayed here for almost 13 years from the moment I moved here.
That's awesome. And look where you are now. Like, I know that you have like this cool startup called Expertise AI, and you're building a really, I think, revolutionary product that might change the way we use websites in the future. And we're going to get into that in a second. But first, I want to talk about your humble beginnings, your background. So you said you started at University of Toronto. And then I know that you worked in Google in a very similar field that you're doing right now. So can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually start having a passionate about AI and machine learning since the first year of university, when, University of Toronto is kind of the beginning of where this generation of new type of machine learning backpropagation all started again in University of Toronto, when Hinton's group wing like kind of the ImageNet context, they proposed AlexNet, and since then, like this huge wave of machine learning and AI really gets started. So at the time, it was 2013. I just went to university. One day, I was sitting in the dorm room. With my roommate, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do with my career is I'm going to do lots of AI. So at the time, what piqued my interest was the concept of intelligence explosion. Like that concept was very nuanced in 2013. And when I know about that, I'm like, this makes so much sense to me. And if we can have intelligence, electricity in, intelligence out, I cannot believe what potential that unleash human being or humankind to do. So at that time, I was like just super excited for the future of this machine learning and AI thing. Although it's new, or although it's like it been through many, cold seasons, but I think this is real. So in the third year of university, I decided to start my own company. Of course, it's focused on AI. Like
what was the name of that company?
It was called Lysana. So it was a play on license plate. So actually, what I thought was I should do a company that apply AI. So at the time, I think license plate recognition is pretty robust. To a point, the license plate recognition in some part of the world hitting like 99.7, 99.9% accuracy. I was like, that's real machine learning application. I want to do that. So I find the technology first, then I'm like, how can I apply it? Probably to parking lot, parking enforcement. Then we apply using this to apply for, there's a program called Next Canada, and then got into that accelerator. So we start with that. The biggest problem in retrospect was like, we find a very good technology, a robust technology, but we don't know about parking market, like parking lot owners, parking technologies. at all in North America. So we hit a very hard thing. Like we were flushing out, like as a like someone technical studying engineering, like the first intuition is I going to make the license plate recognition, the machine learning model much better so we can hit that 99.9% for all the Canadian license plate, and then solving these technical issue was in my mind like all the time. However, it was like very hard. We did not get any parking lot to work with us. That
There
was
was a lot of red tape, right?
there were a
I
lot
know
of
that in Toronto it's very hard to get into that field because, parking is a big problem in the city for sure.
exactly like parking is a big issue. However, there's no motivation for parking lot owner to adopt such technology. There's just no incentive for them to adopt a technology like license plate recognition. Even right now, 9 years after we started the company, we see license plate recognition still very limitedly applied to some of the parking lot, although we see more and more. That's a big lesson from that. Two parts. One is we always think like this technology makes so much sense, then everyone would use it in a blink of eye. That actually almost never happened. And then the other thing is, if you have an idea first, you think about the solution, you start with a solution, or you want to apply AI, uh, then you go to find the market for it. It's almost always you don't succeed because you don't have a problem that you can solve, and you were forcing a solution on a non-existing problem. Then that's almost not possible. So so we pivot at the end. So um, I was thinking about very fascinated by computer vision, but I feel like red tape, like you said, people hate camera in North America. People
Yeah.
hate
People
it.
hate surveillance in general.
Yeah. People hate surveillance. People hate facial recognition. So I come to the realization maybe I should do something else. The other big application that I was looking at was natural language processing, NLP, and the conversational AI. So that's when we start pivoting into conversational AI and see what can we do with these. That's how I get into it. Then after graduation, I decide to go to Google. In particularly, there's a team called Dialogflow. They signed one of the largest deal at the time with U.S. a telecommunication company like Verizon and AT&T. It was very large deal size, and they need a team to help them to fulfill that. And what I do at Dialogflow was we were building a SaaS system or software system that allows autonomous recognition of the intent, or at the time labeling machine learning, enable the machine learning cycle. So we have data, then training the model, then apply that, deploy that into production, right? To really recognize what you are saying. At the time, we don't have LLM, so we are not able to really understand what you're saying. What we do is we try to classify what you're saying. Is it a building problem? Is it a change of address? Is it like a payment issue? Do you want a payment plan? Like, so all these are classified into like hundreds of subcategories that using machine learning to do classification. So there comes our team be able to use machine learning to categorize some of these, and also use human in the loop to really do labeling and annotation on the conversation, so we know which intent has what are the training phrases for these intents. So that's the product I built at Google.
So basically you were doing pattern recognition before LLMs, right? Just in a very much lower scale.
Yeah, it was thinking back, it was very preliminary, but it still brings lots of business value. So it
Yeah.
kind of reinforced my point of view on conversational AI. Like conversational AI, I think can definitely bring value into enterprise. So all these business can benefit from a more automated solution.
Yeah.
However, it's not LLM, so it does not really understand what you're saying. We're just trying to put conversation into boxes, and then all these chatbots, like have choices A, B, and C, and then try to
They
make.
couldn't think outside of the box. They were just constrained to that box, right?
Yeah, that's a very accurate analogy. It's a forced decision tree that's forced onto everyone calling and everyone talking to the bot.
Yeah. So while you were working at Google, with using like the natural language algorithms and developing dialogue flow inside Google, did you have some kind of like sense that AI is coming, like the like LLMs are coming, or does the if this technology will evolve in a year? Because fast forward a year and we got this boom of like ChatGPT, and that almost like struck the world.
Yeah, there are two parts. Both were in the Google I/O release, but Google was very conservative about their large language model release because they know it hallucinate a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
actually think Google has much more advanced technology in 2021 than OpenAI. Because what Google did in 2020, I forgot it's Google I/O 2020 or 2021. They released something at the time was I did not believe it. Like it can happen. Like you can say like you are Mars, then I can talk to Mars. So they essentially launched something that allow you to have a conversation with an object, and then you can assign an identity. Who are you? Then you can start asking questions. For example, you can ask, you are Mars. I can start asking that AI, like, what color are you? I'm red. How far are you from the sun? It will be able to tell you the fact and then have a meaningful conversation. I was like, how do we do that? Like, we don't know. Like, still, we are thinking about how do you put all the conversation into different boxes, and having the ability to have, like, ask any question and get a response. That's actually something Google demoed, but did not launch
Mm.
for general public use. At the time, I think some of the team member would have access to that model, which I think is actually the first version of large language model application and then chat like conversations. Uh, but like I do think they realized there are lots of hallucination in 2021. So as a large company, they could not release it or launch it to the public.
So do you think that's why Google hesitated bringing it to market, and that's why OpenAI kind of beat them to the game?
Yeah, I think certainly because Google is the one who made the transformer paper, and they showcased in I/O, right? Like we have these advanced technology, but we just could not. They just could not release it because the credibility concern, of course, Google would have their product.
Yeah. And you mentioned Jeffrey Hinton. Did you have any work together with Jeffrey while you were working at Google, or not
So
really?
Jeffrey Hinton is in the Toronto office.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him in Google Office. Also saw him on campus a few times. I think they are working on like more of the research. Our team is more working on how do we apply AI to the industry and helping industry to build solution around the AI solution that we
Got
propose.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, there wasn't any overlap. Research was one field, and enterprise solutions was they only used like technologies that were like proven for market and wouldn't hallucinate, for example, right?
Yeah, I think we do have access to some of the more advanced technology, but uh, it's you have to, you know, ask for the permission rather than just have access to it.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so then fast forward, then you went to Cresta, where you did something similar, right? Talk about that experience over there.
Yeah. So actually, when we sunset the last startup during university, I have a 4-year plan of my career. I want to do the startup again. It's always been in my mind. So I'm like, how can I do that again? I know I need much more from my first experience. I need much more industry knowledge, and I need some guideline or some experience in running startup, see how it goes. So I thought to myself, let's do a 4-year plan. I will work with a large company for 2 years, maybe a smaller company. I hope a startup, a very promising startup for another 2 years. Then I want to start my own company. So that has always been in my mind. On the second year, almost second year, 1 year, 11 months, I said to my manager, well, like, I think I want to join a startup. So I have to quit Google. So I quit Google and joined Cresta afterwards. Cresta is a very promising startup. It was backed by like many top tier one investors, and the scope or the AI project they're doing with many Fortune 500 company are fairly exciting. They're essentially helping contact center agent to perform better during their call and post call with with customers.
Is it like almost like giving them a script to help them out steer the conversation forward?
Yeah, something similar to that. Like at the time, it was AI powered, so it's called real time intelligence. Essentially, AI will be able to listen in or see all the text message back and forth and give agent the best suggestion or how they should respond. And like sometime the knowledge search, like searching through knowledge and be able to help lots of the conversation go smoothly, both for sales and for support use cases. So that was Cresta.
And then after Cresta, you made the leap and launched ChatSimple, right?
Yeah. So even at Cresta, I always think about full automation instead of just partial automation or enhanced tool. So I always think about how can we automate end to end the conversation using very similar technology to Dialogflow. Um, at 2023, I start seeing what I didn't believe could happen, like happened, right? Like you can talk to any object and then it has knowledge. It has a knowledge about the world. It can advise you on how to act. I always thought that that's possible. And I saw the Google I/O demo, like I know that's coming, but I didn't know that would come so fast. So by year 2023, I decided it's almost another 2 years, so I should start my company. And I think this technology that can truly understand human instead of putting your intent into boxes will be a game changer for the world. So I decided this is the best time to quit my startup job and then start my own startup called ChatSimple.
So ChatSimple, did you bootstrap it on your own or did you get some VC funding? And how did you get that funding? What was the whole journey of like from zero to a successful company?
Um, we I wouldn't call the current state like a successful yet. We are still working really hard to become more successful. So I would say I would just say from 0 to the first 100 customers. Initially, I was coding and thinking about what problem should I really solve. I see lots of SMB initially. SMB has the issue of spinning up their intelligence AI.
What is SMB?
SMB is a small, medium-sized business.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I see lots of struggle because I used to work with very large company, Fortune 500, Fortune 50 company. They have lots of resource to put into contact center automation, put into like AI, the bot building. SMB does not have such bandwidth to handle that. So initial hypothesis is, can I build something that's very easy and simple for SMB user to use and for them to get value out of AI conversations to help them to do conversion better, to do essentially to sell better, to grow better with their business. So that's my initial hypothesis. Like we can build such an AI system that can help the sales and even the marketing better for SMBs. I bootstrap initially because was the first company. Like I realized maybe it's wrong. There's no point in Toronto, especially like there's no point just pitch 10 investor, 100 investor on an idea initially, because it's pretty hard to get connections. It's also like, well, what are you talking about? Like it's an unvalidated market, and how do you have no traction? So I was heads down, just trying to get customers, trying to build a product as an engineer, and try to get some initial tractions. I was pretty lucky at the time. Like I also applied for some accelerator in the States. We got into one called like 500 Startup or 500 Global. They renamed as well. So I moved to the States for a couple months to attend that program. At the time, I think we already have a couple dozen paying customers. We were charging very cheap. We were charging almost a prosumer price for B2B solutions. But we get some initial traction on people adopting it and put it onto the website and start seeing value by automating the conversations and start seeing the value on like capturing business email and emails through our system.
So was it like the widget that you usually see on websites where you can't like ask a question about um, what the business is doing and what you're searching for?
Yeah. So that was the initial idea of
Hmm.
ChatSimple. Like, can we build something that can automate the communication between business and human? So the grand vision I always have is, I think at the intelligence time, the business will come to like almost have its own will and the own life, making its own decision and allocating its own budget. It will happen sometime in the future. So with that, we think it's very important to have to enable business to communicate with their customer directly instead of saying right now, if you want to talk to a business or before you want to talk to a business, it's always human to human or human to web page. You are doing research. It's always either one-way communication or two-way, but you are with a human being. But we think the future communication should be two-way, and business can directly communicate with human. So we call that a human to business interface. The grand
Yeah,
vision to build.
I was very surprised by this term. I want to know if did you coin that term or was that term already somewhere in the business ecosphere?
I think we come up with this because based on the belief we have, like business will almost have life and almost have a consistent personality, or
So it's
AI
going to be like a living organism that kind of
like
talks back to you.
talks back to you, and even on a higher level, it will make its own decisions without human intervention. Like we start seeing that already. Um, so we think that's a very good starting point where we start automating some customer engagement and help customer to do some thing on their own instead of you have to contact the business or you have to request a demo. So what we initially do is how can we build an AI sales agent that lives on the website? We still continue this path, but we start niching into specific vertical for B2B business. After 2 years, we have hundreds of customers, and we start figuring out like who are the business who would benefit the most. We figure out right now it's B2B business. Um, Meaning we sell to B2B business. So um, when our AI is on their website, it will be able to engage with the website visitors, probably their prospects, then qualify the website visitors based on some criteria our customers set. So they can qualify the business, then they can book a meeting or lead them to the next thing in the funnel. So they can either sign up for free, book a demo. So we route to the right salesperson for the demo, and for them to really sell better and convert the inbound demand much better than what a website used to be able to.
Yeah, one of the things that really surprised me when I first talked to you was the demo of like um we used to see that a business would build a website and that would be like a static website which would be served for every customer. But you had this idea that every customer should have their own custom tailored version of that website. So it basically, once you go in, it almost builds that website on the fly based on your needs. I remember that was the vision for ChatSimple. Is that still the vision for enterprise AI?
Expertise AI, yes.
Sorry, expertise AI.
AI. Uh, when I think about human to business interface, or even more broadly, human to AI business interface, it's it's in my opinion, it's different from human to human interface. Like as human to human, I can text you, you can text back, I can talk to you, we can have video chat, but these are based on like we have to use language to communicate with each other. That's how we exchange information, maybe some body language as well. But with human to AI, we think it goes beyond the language itself. So we have language interface. Of course, we can chat with AI, we can text AI, message back and forth. These are almost everyone take for granted nowadays, but I think there's more to it. For example, AI can show you a graph where it's hard for me to generate a graph out of thin air. AI can show you a graph. AI can show you images that could be fetched, could be generated on the fly, right? AI can show you just links, content that allows you to explore further on the fly, where it's hard for me to give you a link, right? Like without a lot of effort into finding it. So what a real-time conversation or interface with AI is different from a real-time conversation human to human. So based on that, we think we can generate something like a dynamic sites or dynamic microsites that's based on our conversations. So it's very rich in information when you need all the information. And of course, we will at the same time have language exchange. So I can convey very precisely what I want, and then you can show me. You can communicate back very precisely. But at the same time, we think the GUI part, to generate the GUI part, is also a core part that AI will be able to do, which we don't see much as a human to human communication.
Yeah. If we dive more technically into this idea, how is your company actually executing that? How are they changing the GUI and generating all this content for the customer?
Yeah, so we use the website content and public information as the knowledge base. And based on our real-time conversation, for example, with you, like, I have an article that you should read, right? Like I would just know the article. Even within that article, that there's specific video. Like I want to show you how to set up, for example, our HubSpot connection, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
underneath, if you are interested in HubSpot, you must be interested in maybe how to automate that process. So I can give you more suggestion. So it's almost like a web page with content that's not necessarily just text, but also pictures, videos that's rich in nature. And then you can have a much richer experience while having this engagement with the business.
Do you apply like a custom RAG for every customer that you have on the Expertise AI?
So I think what's hard about this is the indexing. How do you do the indexing uh,
Mm-hmm.
very well over videos, image, and other type of assets? At the retrieval time, how do you find the relevant, most relevant content to show? And additionally, how do you find content to recommend. These are solved problem, lots of engineering problem, but most of them are solved, but require lots of engineering detail on how to ingest them, index them, retrieve them in real time matters.
Yeah. So, what are some techniques that your company is using to solve those issues?
Yeah, I can talk about a few things like RAG system, right? Like there
Mm-hmm.
are lots of ways to do RAG. You can, of course, the most basic one would be like embed them into the vector storage and then do re-ranking. And then in the retrieval time, you would find the most relevant vectors and then do a re-ranking and then pick the top ones and then render that. Of course, we do all these, but on top of that, we do some like query rewrite. How do we make sure we actually understand based on the context, understand what really you're looking for, and can we use the LLM to think what you might be interested if you ask such questions, right? So can we
Mm-hmm.
expand on that, even retrieve more context onto this? Um, how do we embed like images, right? Like you have an image, how do you transform images into a vector that can be easily queried? And then how do you make sure the consistency with what you language you retrieved and then the image you retrieved, they may be highly, like vector wise, they may be highly relevant, but when you put them together, it doesn't make sense, right? How do you
Mm.
make sure these are consistent? The image and the generated text are consistent. So all these are actually lots of engineering details that we have to figure out to make sure it's giving the right or exciting, uh, that interesting answer that user are looking for.
Yeah. What has been the biggest challenge in expertise AI?
I think the challenge is definitely uh, try to find the product market fit, right? Like try to find the ideal customers. Try to do lots of the rebranding, the marketing things. These are not something as an engineer we were taught in school or we familiar with. However, like there are lots of, we think more like how do we code this? How do we have better accuracy? So these are always being a challenge that I start learning more and more. I find that also very interesting, like SEO, what is marketing, what is B2B marketing, right? Like these are like such as this podcast. I would like, what is podcast? Why do I need to be on a podcast? Does people even host podcast? So these are some of the things I start realizing why people do that and the value it brings, sharing the knowledge and sharing how you do it. Like not only helps you to build a brand, but helps to um, really have a common knowledge that everyone else can leverage and use to build a better ecosystem. So these are, I would not understand when I am an engineer at Google. These are just too far from my day-to-day job. So I'm very excited to do all these, and at the same time, like a very, if you ask me, these are what are the biggest challenge? Like I would say, these are challenges for myself to take on and to perfect my maybe marketing skill. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's totally fair. And also on that topic, how did you go from ChatSimple to Expertise AI? How did you decide to change that branding and name?
It's actually a fairly simple decision logically, because like I said, we are going beyond language exchange. We are going to GUI generation. So I don't feel like it's proper to call it chat simple, because that's not my vision. The vision is to build the interface and that communicates in a, you can call it higher bit rate instead of just chat. So that's the if that's the future, I feel like the ChatSimple would not be the most appropriate. The initial hypothesis or how I think about the future of AI is you equip the AI with different expertise. The expertise is to navigate people in a very complex product and help them to get the maximum value out of that product. So I had this thought like the future of AI is like modularized, and then you can equip AI with different expertise. You can equip like with sales expertise. At the same time, you can equip them with a funny or witty kind of character expertise. So they will be funny while selling, right? Like that was my initial thinking around AI and how the future how you configure AI systems or AI agent. Uh, and I feel like that's more true than ChatSimple, where we think chat or language exchange would be the main exchange between human and AI. So if that's true, like I decide to do it as soon as possible because the longer I wait, the more brand value I build on ChatSimple, the harder it is to migrate.
Yeah. And what has been the biggest success story so far for Expertise AI?
The biggest success would be we recently crossed 1 million message exchange every month.
Wow,
On
that's
single
nice.
month.
Congratulations.
So we find I'm very happy with that milestone, and it's growing exponentially actually. So if you look at the graph we recently plot, so it's in the last 2 years, it's actually growing exponentially. So from zero message, of course, to now 1 million message exchange. So my hope is eventually we will get to 1 million message and generate a UI, maybe to 10 million to 100 million, um, eventually to help more engagement, more engaging engagement, and also to help the visitors or the customers to get lots of values from these engagement. I think that's something like as a Torontonian and then moving to San Francisco, I was thinking a very specific thing that maybe like to solve for SMB, for them to quickly get a chatbot. But the way um, more like SF uh, people or venture capital think about things are much bigger picture. Oftentimes, you would start from somewhere very niche, but the picture or the eventual picture of what this startup can be is much bigger than your initial picture or initial ICP. So that was very eye-opening. Like I'm like the way I was thinking is practical, but not something that I think I would enjoy doing for 10, 20 years. It's only when I have set a very high goal, I want to revolutionize. I want to revolutionize sounds a bit AI, ChatGPT. I do want to change the way how human and business engage. So that is a mission that's big enough that I think I can work for it for 10 years, 20 years, for the decades to come. Uh, yeah, so that's a very different mindset from the beginning of the ChatSimple to now expertise, how I think about problem, how I think about the challenge in the future.
Yeah. And if we would give you like a crystal ball, what do you think is going to happen in the next 5 years in the AI ecosphere?
I think the most exciting thing is the agent become more and more mature. One specific characteristic is instruction following. Um, I don't want to be too ambitious, but I think in the next 5 years, we will have agent that can follow instruction very precisely, and be able to, at the same time, not rigorous, like it has to fit in a box. No, no, no. It will follow the instruction very well, but at the same time, be able to um, very passionate about the user and be uh, able to come up with sometime out-of-box solutions for the users. I think that's going to happen. The other is AI will probably come to physical world in the next few years, like do physical jobs in the next 5 years. Initially, it will be in a factory or lab setting, but eventually, I think it will go to every aspect. But it's hard to predict the intelligence level, like the system, whether AI system would reach a point in 5 years where will be able to improve itself. um, State of the art AI will be able to improve upon state of the art AI. That's very hard to predict whether that will happen in the next 5 years. But some general trend of instruction following ability and some general trend of like the robotic right now, it's very lab kind of setting, be be more and more useful. That's definitely going to happen in the next 5 years.
Do you also imagine launching expertise AI on robots when they become mainstream, like the next iPhones?
That's a very good thought. I think it will initially be on an iPad. And maybe I can talk to you. I can have very natural conversations, just like you talk to a human being. And we already seeing lots of very vivid text to speech or voice to voice models. I think we will see much quicker, lower latency image generation. Like we can face to face talk with almost no latency. Um, and games, even games with very low latency, it's also the ending is not scripted. The ending is really like a real world. You can do anything, you can say anything, and it will give you some response. So these are, I think, definitely going to happen in the next 5 years. And the intelligence explosion, I think I've been thinking about that for 12 years, 13 years, but I think it will happen at some point, maybe 5 years, maybe even longer.
Yeah. And I know that some of our audience are probably developers who are maybe thinking of starting their own startup, or they have already started their own startup. What would be some advice you could give to engineers who are trying to make that leap forward and start their own startups?
I think big thing is like find the passion, like what actually makes you excited doing every day. Think about a picture that you may want to change in the world. Because I think most importantly is your own will. Like, can you do this relatively hard thing over an extended period of time and be motivated and be happy doing the job? Uh, with that, like, you definitely don't want to do something like you feel like you don't believe in, or you believe in, but you don't have any motivation to change just because it's lucrative. I think something like that can keep you excited, think about it, no matter you're at office or just walking on the road or taking a shower, or think about it. That will make the journey much easier. For me, this passion has been um, in applying conversational AI, then now building the interface between human and the business. For other people, it could be a niche thing, like in their industry they want to change, or very interesting, build a game, other things. So that would be my suggestion. Like find something you are passionate about and think about, if you keep doing it for 10 years, would you be happy? If that's a yes, I think you find something like you could potentially start and finish through.
Yeah, and what are you seeing is the hub for new startups? Is it still San Francisco, or is it changing? Is it changing locations?
Yeah, I think it's San Francisco for new startup. At the same time, Toronto is not bad. If you live in Toronto, like definitely one is would love to meet and stuff, and the other is Toronto has a very good talent pool, and I think the talent is going to go better over the next few years because of Canada has a much friendlier immigration law and immigration environment. So I think that talent is definitely there are definitely lots of talent in Toronto. U.S. is San Francisco. I think has a very vibrant startup community. Is probably the best.
And do you see yourself in the future working in San Francisco or staying in Toronto with your startup?
Oh, I love Toronto. Like that's why I stay here for a long time. I think Toronto is definitely going to be a permanent base. But I also, once we have some fundings, some more fundings, and we did raise about 2.5 million Canadian so far. But once we have more fundings, I would definitely, or more customers. I don't know whether we are going to raise or not, but one thing for sure is I want more customers, help more people. So if we have more customers in the US, I definitely want to open another hub in San Francisco or the Bay Area for like sales and for engineering.
And is there anything you would want our viewers to know or find out about you or your startup?
Yeah. At the end, like I want to say what we do. So we are building expertise AI. This is a demand conversion platform. Demand conversion, you can think like any people who are interested or solving a problem and know your brand come to your website. And that this shows a very strong signal they're interested. So our AI sits on your website, ready to help and ready to capture these people who come to your website and convert them into either a qualified meeting or your user. So we are our slogan is convert better with expertise.
Nice. And if people are more interested in you or your startup, where can they find you?
Yeah, expertise.ai.
Nice. Cool. Well, thank you, Hao, for your time today. And I wish you best of luck with Expertise AI, and maybe we'll get to chat again sometime in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me, Andres, and looking forward to meeting you and talk next.
That's it for my conversation with Hao Sheng. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a like, share your thoughts, and check out our other episodes on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Thank you for joining me, and we'll catch you in the next episode.